Welcome back to the Iowa Beef Collective. I'm Patrick Wall, your host, joined here today with Emily Hartzell-Rogers, a topic that I think some will find maybe a shade unorthodox, but one that I'm excited to have on. You know, I've thought long and hard about what we're going to title this, and I guess the best word I can come up with is balance. There's a lot of 4-H and FFA moms here. We're at the Iowa State Fair filming live, and we showed some cattle this morning. You showed some just yesterday, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are a beef producer, Angus breeder,
Mm-hmm.
a 4-H FFA mom,
Uh-huh.
a football mom, wrestling mom. What am I missing?
New referee mom.
New referee mom.
Yes.
See? So, a lot of us struggle with how to balance what our kids want to do
Mm-hmm.
and how to help them do it well.
Yes.
And you're raising some athletes at an elite level, if I do say so myself. Your daughter's been on several podiums with she was wrestling before female wrestling was cool.
Yes.
And your sons are both a wrestler and a football player.
Yep.
And they've been very successful. But at the same time, you're still breeding Angus. You're still running them to the fairs. You're still doing so many of those things. So I've talked long enough. I want to hear from you. Introduce yourself to the audience, kind of your background, and then dive into what you do as a mom for both athletes and agricultural young people.
Mm-hmm. So I was born here in Iowa. Mom and dad were both have Southeast Iowa roots. We moved to Wisconsin when I was 6 and actually grew up raising Angus cattle in the heart of dairy country, not all that far from Green Bay. So I've always been a little bit of an anomaly and outsider. But ended up going to college in Kentucky and played D1 softball at Western Kentucky on their inaugural softball team. And that was honestly, I'm only 29, just ask my son. But I was playing college softball before travel softball was cool.
Yep.
And it's travel softball in Wisconsin. Now, I know there was other states that had it and did it. So I kind of, I don't want to say broke a barrier, but pushed some limits and tried some things and tried some balance at that point and just tried to do something I always thought sounded cool and looked cool and would be cool. I played a couple seasons and decided that was enough competitive athlete time for me, and wanted to dive more into production agriculture and things along those lines. So got an animal science degree from Western Kentucky and ended up moving back to Iowa and started a small herd, had Angus cows, some commercial cows, few off breeds here and there and things like that. And eventually built the kids and built the family and kind of got things going. We started like a lot of families do with T-ball and just started, yep. I'll even back up. I actually started the kids in dance. For any of my son's friends watching, let's remind him, as he will be a senior in high school, he is his first appearance at the Iowa State Fair was on the Bill Riley stage doing a jazz dance.
Poor kid got thrown under the bus and he can't even defend himself.
He cannot. He's also 6'3" and faster than me now, so I'm going to throw him under the bus as fast as possible. Yeah, I actually put both kids in dance. I danced as a toddler and up through 8th grade because my mom knew how fast I was growing and was able to see that I was not going to be able to walk and chew gum, but should be fairly athletic. So we chose that avenue to get my coordination and athleticism and flexibility and stuff going. So I carried that into the kids. We did do some competitive dance, honestly, before we got hard and heavy into livestock when they were little. One of the pieces where that comes, I guess, into play in the story is exposing my kids to take physical instruction from somebody besides me and then have me support what that coach or that person is saying.
Could not agree more.
It can be dance or pickleball or t-ball or whatever, but we had a very good dance studio in town, so that is what, that's where I chose. When they showed a little enthusiasm and wanted to put in work at home, we carried it a little bit further. And when they wanted to put in a little bit more, we carried it just a little bit further. We didn't do national contests in Kansas City or Chicago or anything, but we did. Like Gatlin got to appear on the Bill Riley stage,
Yep.
To be perfectly honest, I also, with a little bit of forward thinking, realized although we are a wrestling town in Wilden, go Beavers. That joke will come into play several times to this podcast, I think. We are the Wrestling Beavers. We were a wrestling town, but there was always a hint of football. There was always a touch of football. And I also realized they had no idea how to coach a kicker, and there was no kicking game at all. And we can score 3 points if we have a kicker. So I very, very selfishly put my child in tap dance to teach him footwork and timing and flexibility. And he is now a kicker as well as 4 other positions on the team. So
I think drawing that parallel is something not very many parents would do. Tap dance to kicking field goals. And that's huge because it is timing and it is footwork. That's all it is.
It is. It is.
So yeah, great. Not something I thought we would get into on this podcast, but I'm glad we did.
If you want your kid to be a kicker, make him a tap dancer first. But it worked. It worked. I mean, he's still a toe puncher, and he's not breaking any records by any means, but he is very effective and efficient. So if you can get 6, you got to have 1.
Yep.
If you can get close enough, let's work for 3. That's the football. That's as much as I actually know about football. So, but yeah. So that's, I guess, when they were little, it kind of started with some of those pieces to the puzzle. If they like it, let's see how far they want to take it. When it starts to dwindle, we can move on. Not living vicariously through them, but also not letting one bad day, one bad practice, one bad moment go, okay, well, fine, you can be done.
Yep.
So we went from, I say, starting in, I've always had cattle around. I dabbled in my own 4-H career. I had a pig or 2, had some sheep. Never took it super, super serious beyond county level or even, a regional livestock show here or there, but had a very, very fun network of friends and companions around the county territory and a little bit beyond that were willing to help us and teach us and grow with us. But as we got into the livestock parts of things, the kids were always in the barn with us and we're always learning and watching and helping and swinging gates and, doing all parts of that. And I guess I never let them just be. I never let them just be there and be in the corner. I wanted them to be part of it. I wanted them to carry buckets. Even if it was 1 scoop in a bucket, they were going to be a part of it and be active in it and have a hand in it and felt like they were incorporated in it. We also took advantage of some different breeds with some different rules. And you mentioned earlier, Hannah was wrestling before girls wrestling was cool. And I like to kind of feel like Hannah kind of helped make girls wrestling cool.
I would agree with that.
We did the mini cow adventure before mini cows were really, really cool. Now they're Aberdeens, but we had a low line.
Sure.
We had a very trusted friend and partner who managed an Angus ranch, but raised cosmetic breeds on the side. And so she had a low line. Their theory was they wanted to give her an experience. They were doing it selfishly. They were doing it for marketing. They wanted a calf in a good family's hands.
Sure.
Their theory was give her an experience of a cow that's not going to outgrow her. And once she outgrows the cow, you can move on. But for her first year, that cow is never going to outgrow her. And so we started with a low line. We ended up with a national champion low line. And she ended up being a way bigger experience than we ever planned on for this little mini psycho cow. But her name was Surprise, not Surprise. It was Surprise. And she surprised us all with exceeding all of our expectations. But therein again became the balance with we were dancing and we were T-balling and we were cowing and we were dancing and we were T-balling and we were cowing. And we actually left a jackpot and Allison drove to a softball tournament, played in a game, cow in the trailer under a tree on the curb waiting for us to finish a game. And then we went on home. It does take a village and it takes a lot of family cooperation. And if one party isn't in it, it probably doesn't need to happen because it just creates a lot of tension and strife and unrest. And there's some compromise of I'd rather be doing something else today versus my heart's not in this project. My heart's not in this situation or in this adventure. And in that, first and foremost, if that's the kid, that's where you really have to move on.
Yep. And coming from someone who has parked a 20-foot, 6-foot livestock trailer at a baseball tournament, I can relate.
Yep.
And, I'm in the same boat. We don't push either the ag aspect or the sports aspect. The challenge, I think, for a lot of parents is we might not push it, but the coach or the FFA advisor or the 4-H leader,
yes,
they're feeling pressure from more angle than one. So if you can, talk about your experience as a mom dealing with that if you've had to. Has there been other pressures, and how do you deal with it?
So pressure or guilt. And those are two separate
That's
things.
a fine line, but yes.
It is. And I think one of the differences comes when a coach or an advisor, they don't understand the difference between pressuring, encouraging for the right reasons, or just making a kid feel guilty or making a family feel guilty. And why, and what are their motives? And that's a little bit of the T-ball win at all costs.
Yeah.
There are no college coaches watching 9-year-old AAU Des Moines Central summer bash.
Yep.
That's just not a thing. One kid missing one tournament, one kid missing one practice. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The commitment to doing what's best for the kid is what matters. There's a balance between a family vacation or a cow show or another sporting activity or another commitment, whether it's music or dance or whatever it is. And that's where understanding also what you're getting into before you get into it is another piece of the puzzle. Knowing the travel ball expectations or the school ball schedule, knowing the practice schedule, knowing what hours are required, when is lifting, when are the practices. We can't help if a coach has unnatural expectations of a time commitment or their schedule because of other things going on at the school or situation isn't conducive with what we want to do or what we want. And Iowa high school golf is a perfect example. My son would love to golf. He's 6'3", 220, and I think he could knock the poop out of a golf ball. Was a respectable baseball player. He physically doesn't want to miss that much school.
Yeah.
You have to leave at 9 a.m. for a golf meet, and you might have 2 or 3 because it's a short season. And he's in a couple AP classes, and he's like, I just don't want to miss that much school. Yes, all of his teachers, he actually said that was the reason he's not golfing. He does not want to miss class, although he pretends he doesn't want to be there. He has said, I don't want to miss that much school. And so that's one of those things, that's just something he can't help. But that was a choice he made based on, he knows his capabilities, he knows his goals, he knows what he wants. Golfing would be fun, but it's not a long-term life goal. There's some of those pieces, but being upfront and honest with what you're doing and why. We're going to a national wrestling tournament. Sorry, baseball team. You're starting your season and there's snow on the ground and you're playing an indoor midnight tournament in Bettendorf on turf that's supposed to be a soccer field.
Right.
We're still wrestling. So we're going to go to that national wrestling tournament, and your season can happen when the flowers and dandelions are out on site on the dirt. They don't have to like it. And if they don't, they might not be the team for you. And that's part of what I've noticed and started to learn about the livestock industry is the people you surround yourself with are who build you and who make you. And there's a little bit of a guilt by association as well, which can be good and bad. So that might not be the team or the setting or the avenue for you if that's the undue guilt or pressure you're feeling.
And what I'm hearing a lot is prioritization.
Yeah.
And it has to be the kids.
Yep.
Prioritization.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times we and maybe I'm guilty of this as a baseball dad or a dance dad or the roles that I've taken on. You know, sometimes we think we know what their priority is, but we might not ever even ask them. And, you know, I think that's important to when it comes to 4-H and FFA, if you want to compete at a high level, it's work.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of the matter that you have to spend a lot of time on the project. Yep. And, you know, 3-day baseball tournaments, you're 3 days behind the kid that didn't go.
Yep.
And so we've probably talked enough about the travel ball. I'd call that like a middle school age. So let's shift focus to when they're older. They're in high school now. And it's time to start making some decisions on whether you're going to competitively do X, Y, or Z when high school's over with. So, you know, in your high school years, what do the decisions change? And you know, as a mom, does your advice, does your role change at all?
So once they start driving themselves, things do change.
I would agree.
The grocery bill changes because they're bigger. Yes. Because it does become more, where are you going to be and what can I get ready so you can make your next stop? And also knowing, I mean, I had two, I had a boy and a girl. And so it was also splitting time and understanding
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold one of them back from doing something because I can't be there. And I'm not micromanaging it and controlling it and holding their hand through it. Having to give up a little bit of that and loosen the reins, and then trust the network as well. There are other teen
Yeah.
moms. There are other 4-H moms. There's other sheep moms. There's other people that are going to help with that network too.
And I think the answer to that question is different whether a family has one or two kids or three or four.
Yes.
Their priorities change when you don't have a ride.
Yes.
And once they're driving, that doesn't constitute a free ride.
No.
They have a license, but
Yes.
not every of them have a car.
Yes.
Or a car that you can let go somewhere else that another family member doesn't need. All those things. So
yep. Nope. Those things do change as well, and it just becomes it's high communication, high planning, and knowing the expectation before you start.
Yep.
And that was with lifting and other obligations was okay. Well, if this is your football lifting schedule, when are you doing pigs? Are you doing pigs before or after? If you oversleep, are you doing them after or after? What are we doing? How are we doing this? Or what's the temperature outside? What do we got going on? Hey, we got to go weigh pigs. Coach, I'm going to miss lifting. Or is there an alternative time I can go lift? And letting them know you're not blowing them off. You're not just walking out. You're not going to just not show up. But also, if you're willing to do the extra for in this scenario, willing to do the extra for the livestock, are you willing to do the extra for the sports team?
Correct.
Our scenario, maybe you were willing to do it and it still didn't work out. But putting yourself out, putting the kids, putting themselves out there to be willing to do the extra went a long way.
Yeah.
And if it didn't matter, if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. If the schedule wasn't conducive, that's fine. Nope, there's no one else to supervise your lifting. We can't lift today. Just do some exercises at home. We'll catch you tomorrow. No big deal. But them approaching the coach and saying, I can't make this work. What other options do I have? That translates out to the rest of your life too.
Yep. And I think I personally was very fortunate. My high school football coach was also a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was at the state fair and missed 2-a-days, he was okay with that because he knew I had baled hay all summer and I wasn't going to come into football season completely unprepared physically.
Yes.
Small schools, I think, can look at this challenge differently than larger ones.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing some teammates of my son's team that are going to larger schools, their pressures seem different from coaches because I think they have critical mass to make a team regardless of whether that kid's there or not.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, do you have any insight for parents regardless, small school versus big school on how to navigate that either with a tough coach or an understanding one? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those are two very different answers probably, but tell us what you can.
So some people just don't care. And that's it. And it doesn't matter. Big school, small school, male coach, female coach, FFA advisor, director of the state fair. Some people just don't care. Sometimes there are no exceptions. And those are life lessons we just have to live with. Navigating the individuals, I don't know that I have a lot of advice besides just be open and honest in communication and then make your choices as your family, what's right for you and your family, and specifically the kid. If it's best for the kid to go to football because you are what you are to that team and that's where your heart is. And if you're here, you're just going to be pissed off the whole time you're at state fair because you're missing your 2-a-days.
Yep.
Then it's a no-brainer. If you're going to be pissed off at football because you're not here, those are choices you're going to make. I do thoroughly encourage every family to look through the student handbook, look through the handbook that they get for each sport, understand what you're getting into, and honestly just strive to make sure every kid, team, and sport is treated equally. So I didn't realize how blessed I was that our school handbook laid out, this is the attendance policy for sports. End of story. No coach got any more or less. It was school activity, excused family, unexcused. Boom, boom, boom. Cut and dry. Doctor's appointments, not excused absences. Da, 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 da. It was all spelled out. And there were penalties for them. That even went further into moral infractions drinking, smoking, getting caught doing any of
Yep.
that. That translated across not only sports, but the clubs. So you got caught smoking in the bathroom, you didn't go to Chicago on the Spanish trip. End of story.
Yep.
Those were, it was laid out with percentages and number of, activities and things like that.
And I guess, can we assume that every handbook is the same, or will there be variations?
There are wide variations.
Okay, I was unaware of how consistent or inconsistent they could be.
Yep. And furthermore, it's kind of like know what you're getting into. So if it's there, let's make sure it's enforced for everybody.
Yep.
Nobody gets special privileges and everybody's treated the same. So I can relate it back to there's kids that are missing football to be here at State Fair. And they're missing for what I can only assume is an excused situation because it's either family or 4-H FFA. School has not started yet. I mean, you're not missing school, you're just missing a sporting situation. It's planned, but it's unavoidable. Family vacations, those sorts of situations,
Right.
Those are avoidable. Funerals are not. You have to. That's a family situation. So, but the kid that misses a practice for a funeral and the kid that misses for a beef show, they still missed the practice or the
Right.
or the game. There should not be special consideration for one or the other, because it's no different than a kid on the football team that's going to a baseball tournament. Well, that's not any more excusable than coming to a livestock show. You made a choice, and that choice is not wrong, but that choice should be treated the same as every other choice that the other participants are making.
I have tried to be very clear with my own kids that if you don't like the answer you're given or you don't like the outcome, you are not done with dealing with difficult people in your life. And you have just experienced that at a much younger age than many others.
Yep.
So gain some value from the tough situation that you put yourself in.
Yep.
I mean, you did. Life is all about choices, and some of them are tougher than others.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not always going to like the outcome of every choice.
Yep.
But if your priorities lie somewhere, then you should go towards whatever your passion is.
Yep.
Whether your mom and dad like that or not.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of us get in trouble as parents is we think they should be able to do everything because they put in the work in May, June, July. Well, guess what? The football kid that doesn't show, he might have put in the work all summer too, lifting weights or
Yep.
running track or doing whatever.
Yep.
His decision was really in the end no different than the kid that wants to go to the state fair.
Yep.
This catches a lot of flack online. I think about every August 10th, that 4-H and FFA should be looked at as an extracurricular activity equal to football, baseball, basketball, and that debate is different for me than the school related trip club, because 4-H, it's not part of a public school.
Nope.
So they set their own rules, they have their own expectations.
Yep.
And every football, volleyball coach has their own expectations too, and
yep.
Life is about choices.
Yep. And I can relate it back to, I'm like, okay, well, let's flip the coin. So if the school team should just automatically give us a special break to the kid because they're here at the state fair doing their livestock project, why shouldn't the 4-H and FFA just allow substitute showmen? Because, well, this kid has a football scholarship writing on it. He can't be here. Now, he's done all this work all summer on this steer, but why shouldn't we just allow a substitute showman because he's got somewhere else he needs to be that's a better priority? But he's already done the work, so we can't mess with that work.
Yep.
And it's just not the same. Okay, but how is it any different than the football kid who's going to go to a baseball tournament because he wants to participate in football, but he's got a baseball scholarship writing. So that's where his passion truly is, but he gave up a day on the football field.
Yep.
But does he not deserve, that's no different than the kid that gave it up to come to a steer show. And so that's where it is. I understand, and this gets into another topic, but I understand the mentality of I'm a farm kid, I work harder, but this is also a very unpopular opinion. Not every farm kid works harder. And that is evident when you're walking through the barns.
Yep.
And if you don't see that when you walk through the barns, you're not seeing a true representation of what hard work will produce.
And I think a lot of times, and this won't be very popular either, hard work is masked as that kid has facilities that this kid doesn't, or this kid has resources that this kid doesn't.
Yes.
And the indicators are often used as excuses.
Yes.
I don't like excuses.
Nope.
Tell my children that excuses are like noses. Everyone has one, and some of them blow.
Because I'm not sure you use noses, but you do use noses. I was going to say enter Spencer Lee, but again, here I come, here I come wrestling mom to the table. So the thing about this industry, about the show industry, is it is subjective too. There's personal preferences that come in, and hard work is not always reflected in a success or a banner.
Correct.
But that's the one other balance, I guess, topic is taking away your own victories. And what are your own victories, and what goals did you set? Everybody's goal win the show, right? But what other goals did you set?
Right.
What else did you want to accomplish? Did you want to work on feed efficiency? Did you want to work on showmanship? Did you want to work on setting up the pens by yourself, or making that accomplishment by yourself? Driving yourself to the state fair was a big deal for my daughter one year,
Yeah.
So what were your goals for the year, and did you hit those as well? And that's kind of drives back to one of the things I would balance. Well, if you're not organized, you can't have any balance. And if you're not organized, do you have any goals?
Right.
And if you don't have any goals, you can't be organized. So all those three things kind of work together that, if we're not setting out to accomplish something, if we're just participating, how much success can you have or expect?
And I'll ask you that from a different segment, from your personal experience. Did you set limitations for your kids on a project or a sport, or you need to pick XYZ? Because I'm trying to protect you from burnout or being overwhelmed.
I did not have to do that with mine. It was the discussion. This is available. What do you think? Does that push you too far? Does that stretch you too far? Does that pull at the seams that it's just not going to be possible? And both of mine were, if I can't do this well, I'm not going to do it. And that actually came up in after summer of 2020 in softball. Hannah had decided, I am going to wrestle. I'm going to wrestle and take this further. She wanted her sophomore year, and she knew I cannot stop wrestling to hit my wrestling goals to play softball. That schedule is going to overlap. It's too intense. It's too demanding, and they can be, and that's it can. Every sport, every sector, every project, every breed, every species can set its own expectations. IJBBA is a great example. You got to hit so many shows to earn so many points to even be in the hunt, to even get on the top 10 list. You have to hit those parameters. And that's okay. That's their limits to set. If you can't do that as a family, there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to know the limitations and of the expectations that are out there, and know your family's limitations to be actually able to exceed them. So that's where it came for her. She knew the wrestling brain kicked. Everything started to click together and roll and escalate. And she had a new passion and a new brain. And she literally unlocked a new section of her brain that has changed her life. And she knew to keep that ball rolling and to drive that part of her head and her heart, she had to give up something. She was not ready to give up livestock. And she was able, as an individual sport, she was able to manipulate the livestock and the wrestling together, because those were both individual.
Right.
But the softball team had a different expectation. And they had a different, they were winning state championships and making state and things like that then. And so they had a level to maintain, and they had a standard to uphold. And that's wonderful. And she knew she could not maintain that. So she knew she needed to step away. And if you want to talk about Ken Hartzell nearly having a stroke and wanting to just not be alive, that was one of the moments that I have put him through.
Because mom played softball.
Because mom played softball, because my sister played college softball. My parents both are passionate softball people. Yep. So fun to watch the game with, and it broke them because she had some raw talent that just went untapped. But it was a choice she made. It was a choice she didn't want to have to make, but she, wise beyond her years, blonde as the day is long, but wise beyond her years, she absolutely made this choice. And it was one of the healthiest choices I've ever watched an adolescent make.
We're going to shift gears a minute. I want to talk about nutrition. Wrestling is a completely different nutrition game mid-season, can be. Let's hear how Emily grocery shops for two athletes. What do we avoid? Is there any change? Or we just calories? What do you do?
So I will honestly say I learned as I went. Lots of tips and tricks and advice out there. I took it all in and listened to what made sense, but I did have a distinct advantage having raised livestock and understanding.
I was hoping we'd go there
I
because
swear,
I see that.
so I had some calorie gain and deficiency and peelbacks, and I'm still 29, just like my son. So not that long ago, when I was in high school, those 40-pound weight cuts that boys were making literally in a week in wrestling
Oof.
and sauna suits during school and things like that. That is no longer a thing in the wrestling world, period, for high school age children. So lots of advice, but lots of practical knowledge that just came into play from the livestock world. When I grocery shop, one, I'm very, very, very blessed that we have our own beef and pork. So those are staples that are there to get go.
Okay.
We do 90-10 on our beef, so I know the content of the package. I also knew its name, so that helps too. I
Right.
know exactly which animal it is. Aside from that, I shop on the outside aisles of the grocery. I do not shop in the middle aisles. And if you can't wash it or kill it, don't eat it.
That is about as simple as it gets.
It doesn't. And if you're questioning, okay, but can I wash a mashed potato? No, just don't eat it. If you cannot wash it or kill it, don't eat it. So and then it's calorie counting. I mean, once you have the actual nutrition in front of you, then it's just calorie counting, and it requires some math and it requires a little bit of research beyond calorie count. And I would say we're not even necessarily strict calorie counters, but it's all about the number on the scale. So if you put 16 ounces in your body, you put 16 ounces on your scale.
Right.
So if your plate only weighs 7 ounces, you've only put 7 ounces on your scale. And then understanding the main thing is which is no different than livestock, understanding what you put into your body, how your body reacts to that. I know my body does not respond well to gluten. I know I don't respond well to dairy. I break out in hives when I have dairy because I'm allergic to whey protein. For the kids, it takes a warm up and understanding if I have a bag of Doritos, it is going to take me 3 days to get off that bag of Doritos. If I have a chicken breast, I'm going to lose 2 pounds because I'm going to metabolize it so fast.
Yep.
Whatever that is for the kid. So it takes a lot to warm up to it. And I won't say neither kid has had a hard cut. We've had some difficult weeks in life, but never 10 to 15 pound crashes by any means. But it's been the capability to. It's again no different than a show steer or a barrow or a
Right.
wether. You deplete, you weigh in, and then you have to refuel. And so then understanding what do they look like when they refuel, how do they feel when they refuel. You can't weigh in at 7 a.m. and eat 2-foot-long Subways and expect to go out and
Perform.
wrestle fine.
Right.
So understanding how do I refuel and what does my body respond to refuel is no different than if I start a steer out and we shrink him out to weigh him and then I fill him full of cattle blaster and he's never had that before. Well, then
Right.
he's got gut rot and he's miserable and soggy bellied and so I have a little bit of an advantage over some other wrestling moms.
I would agree with that. Just my background. Now, we're not ruminants, so that doesn't really count. But the monogastric diet, I mean, you can change a pig in 3 hours. You
Mhm.
can change a wrestler in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we did a food sensitivity test for my daughter, and that was life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it told us why we were seeing the reaction to certain foods when we couldn't figure out, because we couldn't pinpoint what she ate that was the problem.
Yep.
So I guess I would offer that as a bit of advice. If you're having an athlete that's either not responding positively or just not thriving with the foods that you're giving them,
Yep.
you might try a food sensitivity test. They're not always 100% accurate, I'll give you that. And we have found some foods that she has added back in that weren't really the culprit. But we found a few that were a flat red flag,
Yep.
and eliminating those has really helped her.
Yep.
So I guess we'll probably close with the question I think most parents have is do you just embrace the chaos, or or do you try to manage it before it gets to a chaotic point, I guess?
There is no cookie cutter answer. I hate to be that, but
Dang it.
there is not a silver bullet. This is how it is. This is how to behave. It is different for every family.
Yeah.
And being completely raw, I had ovarian cancer at 21. My ex-husband had a non-cancerous brain tumor in 2014. We got divorced in 2017. We won the state fair in 19 and 22. Like, we run the gamut of embracing the chaos, but that is what worked for us. 3 years in a row at the state fair, I did 4 species, 2 kids, 10 and a half days, and was involved in sheep check-in and hog check-in.
Okay, so that is actually embracing the chaos in it.
I
like,
am
in
the
every
chaos.
sense of the word.
Embrace me. And we did Exarban, and Hannah showed a sheep, and we went and wrestled a night of conflict, and she came back and showed a goat. Like, we have embraced the chaos. That is what worked for us. But it was also to take all of this one step further. There was some business and some marketing decisions behind what we were doing. We were
Sure.
not banner chasing.
Sure.
So having raised some livestock, having partnered on some livestock, and I would say needing the win for the marketing, but needing the win for the marketing, not for the big pretty plastic check. Those were some of the goals we had and some of the reasons we did what we did. And it did take a network. So every individual family has to decide what they want out of it, why they're doing it, and what it means to them, and run with that. I remember people saying, I don't know how you do it. And all I could ever think is, I don't know how I couldn't.
Right.
Because it's over.
Yeah.
So Hannah has graduated out. I mean, we're still doing open class things. Deuter did make the decision to just step away from showing. Helps my dad anytime he needs it, and is pitching in, doing anything he wants, and helped a guy break show calves last summer, as a part-time job. But took himself out of the competitive side of, he was in pigs and cattle, and just removed himself from that because he had different goals. It wasn't a passion. We'll step in and help the family anytime necessary.
Yeah.
But he loved every minute of it. He loved everything he did. He loved what he got out of it. But when he knew he was done when he was done. And so he just said, he's like, I want to enjoy the time I've got and enjoy the time with my family and not have the pressure of needing to do it because it's expected. And that was where it was, I guess we kind of did both. We ran the chaos, and I was the chaos, and I was the chaos everybody was in awe of for several years. But we also took a peel back and got ahead of it and have slowed down quite a bit. And like I said, now Hannah's done wrestling and is refereeing and has some goals of her own in her reffing career. And Deuter's headed into his senior year and is going to kick a football and hit some people and
Excellent.
have fun. So,
and I'm much the same way. We're graduating one out. She's heading off to Iowa State in the fall, and to say it's been chaotic would be pretty accurate this summer because she did 2 species. My son did 2 different species.
mm-hmm.
I never really thought I could say no because that was their passion and I could make it happen. So
Yep.
why would I not?
Yeah.
And I don't think that is the same answer for every parent. There
No.
are limitations,
Yes.
and that has to be part of it. But
Yep.
The last question, and this is probably the one I want to ask more than any, what would 29-year-old Emily like to tell 21-year-old Emily before all this chaos started? What would she like to tell your younger self that, man, if I would have just told her that when she was younger, it would have made things a lot easier?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, and that's maybe figure out how to be a reality TV star and like make money off the chaos that you're about to ensue. I honestly, because that's come up with more than one friend. They're like, "Oh my God, Emily!" I'm like, "I should just be a reality show." But I live in the moment.
Yeah.
And I can't say don't take anything for granted because I never feel like I have.
Yeah.
But live in the moment and just enjoy it as it's happening, which I don't think I haven't done, but remembering to do that.
And I'll take this from a different direction, because I really try to live in every moment, and then I get done with an event and I haven't taken a single picture. I want to remember it here,
Yeah.
not in my phone.
Yeah.
And then everyone that you talk to is like, "Oh, well, did you take any pictures?" No, actually, no, I did not.
Yeah. Well, so I used to lots and lots and lots. And I still, I'll go through stints what I do, but I also have a teenage daughter that has all the pictures. So
Right.
that helps too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, no, there's moments you're never going to remember, there's moments you're never going to remember, but there's moments you're never going to forget either.
Yep.
And those are the ones that count the most. But yeah, I guess embrace the chaos and enjoy it for what it is. And just, I don't know, there's someone else had said too, it's like, I live, breathe, and die for my kids. And I'm like, mine are for sale. But I also, like, I don't want to feel like I ever lived through my kids. Whatever they wanted, we jumped into that, embraced it.
Yeah.
And that has been co-parenting the entire time. That has been one of the pieces that we have thoroughly enjoyed. And we are ultimately doing all of this, whether it's football and wrestling or cows and goats. I mean, the goal is when you kick them out to pasture on their own, that they're good members of society.
And I just finished literally days ago 10 years of 4-H, and it felt like I just started.
Yeah.
I guess my bit of advice to add to that was 10 years is not that damn long.
No.
FFA is only 4.
Mm-hmm.
You could do 5 or 6 or whatever it is they get on the backside of
Yeah.
that. But, it's 15 years of your child's life at the most.
Yeah.
That's not very long.
No.
And, I think the balance part of it has to enter in. I guess I'll just say do what you can for what your kid's drive is. And, my oldest is going to pursue a career in ag to some degree. Well, I've given her the foundation. What else more should I do? So I think some of that, in sports, they're not likely to have a career in sports, but those things do very similar benefits to them later on in life. So I knew this segment would be fun. And I think, I won't call them boring because they're not. We need to get off of the research trail in extension and talk to some real people about, real families that have issues that I think we all want answers to. And if you can't wash it or kill it, you don't. That's gold.
I learned that from a wrestling coach from the Seabolt teams, from Samantha Seabolt.
Yep.
That was, if you can't wash it or kill it, don't eat it.
Yep.
And that has helped my diet.
Yeah.
That has helped my family's diet in general.
So yes, thanks for joining us.
No
I
problem.
hope the audience enjoys this one. I know I did. But tune in next time for the Iowa Beef Collective. Thanks for joining us.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or accommodation inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/legal.